Alright, so y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, ranking every attribute rating in NBA 2K22 Next Gen in tiers. So I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, for drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all good stuff, and like always, try to 1,000 likes. Now, as you can see, we have this categorized the same way that you would see it in the My Player Builder. We got the finishing to the shooting, playmaking, defense, and then physicals. What we'll do is we'll start from the top and go to the bottom and rank all of these one by one. So we'll start with close shot, put it where I feel like it belongs, whether it's B, C, D, A, or S tier. Same goes for driving layup. We'll put that wherever it belongs. I did have the E and the F tiers below this as well, but I'm going to take that out of the equation. No attribute rating in this game is completely useless, to be completely honest with you guys. So I feel like D is the lowest they should belong in terms of any ranking. I don't think anything goes lower than that. So we're going to straight into this. I hope y'all enjoy. Starting us off in the B tier, we have close shot. This can be related to anything with standing layups or hook shots. So just keep in mind, this does also tie into certain badges. For instance, grace under pressure, mouse in the house, hook specialist, all types of stuff like that. So just keep in mind, like I said, it does tie into badges, but we're going to be talking about the power of the attribute rating itself. So also keep in mind, this is going to be dependent on what setting you're in. So for 2v2 and Pro-Am, it's going to be really good. For 3v3, I don't know if it's as needed. I feel like when it comes to threes, you're going all in for three-pointers and wide open dunks. For 2v2, to be able to do things like this is pretty repetitive in terms of it's going to be very hard to defend you. It also does go in unison with being a little bit taller as well. But for the 2v2 and Pro-Am, if you are a taller big that has really good close shot, like I'm talking 99, you have unstoppable hooks, you have grace under pressure and mouse in the house on Hall of Fame, you cannot be stopped by undersized bigs. It's literally impossible. Anybody who's literally 7 foot or less, if you're 7'3", cannot contest you. I mean, it's so serious when it comes to that. Next up on the list, we have driving layup. It's going to be coming in the D tier. Now listen, I understand that there's some people out there who upgraded your driving layup and didn't upgrade any driving dunk at all. I'm going to be real with you. I don't know why you did that, but we're going to be respectful of your decision of that. But me personally, I don't really understand why you would go so heavy into driving layup and not do any driving dunk at all, when you really could just have 65 driving dunk and then boom, just like that, you got quick drops off one. You are going to be literally having the best dunk in the game just for having 65 driving dunk. I don't really know why you would ever do driving layup. I'm not gonna lie, me myself personally, from a selfish aspect, if you are a pure slasher, I understand why you maybe want driving layup for, say, better badges like mouse in the house, etc., stuff like that, or maybe even acrobat as well, which is going to give you nice little gathers on spin dunks, hop dunks, whatever the case may be. But for the sake of actually just driving layup itself and not the packages that come with it or the badges that come with it, driving layup itself is really completely useless, to be completely honest with you. I have never even seen one utility of me making a contested layup just because I have my layup up. It's really rare that you even see a layup in the first place either. If you consistently use the contact dunk meter with holding down on the right stick, it is very rare that you ever get kicked out of that contact dunk animation and end up taking a layup instead. So me personally, from my perspective of that, I don't think driving layup is very effective. I think if you're a smaller guard out there, it's pretty rare that you drive in the first place anyway. And if you have the driving dunk to 65, you can still get the quick drops off one. Again, I do understand that this ties into acrobat and mouse in the house sometimes as well for the slashers out there, but realistically, I don't think driving layup belongs anything higher than D tier. Once again, we cut off the E and the F tier entirely, so it's not like I'm saying this is an F tier badge. I'm saying it's a D tier badge, and its utility isn't exactly up to par with the things that would be in the C tier, B tier, A, and S. So next up in the A tier, we have driving dunk. This is going to be from all types of attribute rating ranges. So we got, like I said, the 65 driving dunk, which is going to allow you to get the quick drops off one. We got things like 92 driving dunk, which is going to give you all the contact dunk animations. Even 84 still gives you the pro contact dunk animations. I will say though, 90 and above is pretty adequate when you're going for contact dunks, because it's going to give you that gold posterizer, and higher. Once again, 92 is going to give you both the contact dunk animations, and then 99 with Hall of Fame posterizer goes crazy as well. So there's even a level of having 40 driving dunk, which would give you the CJ McCollum dunk package, and if you're a smaller play shot out there, you can actually still dunk the ball when wide open. So I'm not gonna lie, for ranging from all different types of attribute ratings, driving dunk is very good, and it's very dominant in terms of the types of people who actually have it all the way upgraded. And then for anybody who has it at the mediocre level, it's still a lot of bang for your buck. Upgrading it to 65 is so effective and so worth it for you to be able to dunk the ball and just be able to be super quick with it. So overall, driving dunk is going to be in the A tier. Next up in the C tier, we have standing dunk. Now, I will say the one thing that is completely degrading this attribute rating for me is the fact that when you are down low and you're going for the standing contact dunks with the right stick, your meter size is based on your driving dunk. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. It's very stupid. It's super dumb that that's the case, but it's really unfortunate for those taller bigs out there who are really trying to get those standing contact dunks with their bigs. Now, you can still get those standing contact dunks with your big with the X button. So I'm not going to sit here and say standing dunk is completely useless. I will say though, close shot is so much more effective and so much more consistent. If I can only pick one of these two to have, to be completely honest with you, if you are trying to be an efficient paint scorer, I'm not gonna lie to you, close shot is 10 times better to have than the standing dunk rating itself. Where if you had to choose not to have one of the two of them, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, you 100% would rather have close shot than standing dunk for contested finishing down low. Now, there is a case to be made that for doing it wide open or for preventing chase down blocks, you would definitely want the standing dunk. But here's the other thing too. I've literally seen my boy SK, who has 70 driving dunk and has 0 standing dunk, like literally 25 on his 7'3" build. He can still get standing dunks just because he has his driving dunk upgraded enough to get certain packages that allows him to actually get the NBA player packages, and then boom, just like that, it ties into a couple standing dunk animations. So long story short, he's literally able to still do standing dunks with 25 standing dunks. So it definitely doesn't belong too high on this list, but there is still the utility of going for standing contact dunks, which I think are actually still pretty effective, even with the X button or holding up on your right stick. So overall, I don't think standing dunk is that bad. So I think it belongs in the C tier. I would not put it on the same level as close shot though, and definitely not driving dunk. Next up, we have post control rating. Once again, like I said, do not take this in the C tier and think of it as a horrible badge just because it's below halfway down on the attribute rating itself. Like I said, I could have had the E and the F tier on this list and just not shown it at all, and your perception on this list would be swayed a little bit different. I just wanted to make this a little bit bigger so you guys could actually see it. But anyway, for post control rating itself, it's obviously tied to things like drop stepper and post spin technician. I don't think post spin technician is any good. I will say drop stepper itself is pretty good as well. But anyway, for the post control rating, what it actually does, obviously when you're holding the LT and trying to hold onto the ball inside the 3-point line, it's going to prevent you from getting plucked. Now, I don't know if that's exactly necessary, so to say, especially for a lot of people out there who might just be setting screens and then coming off the rolls, and then you're going for the standing dunks or the close shots, whatever the case may be, or you're already in position and you're just pump faking your life away. And with the mouse in the house and Grace under pressure, and then being pretty tall, it's already hard to defend you. You don't really need post control to get into that position if you're playing with a good point guard. But if you are the lead scorer, if you as the big man are the main scorer on the team for 2v2 or even for Pro-Am for whatever reason, I don't really think this is necessary for threes by any means. I don't think you should be posting up on the 3v3 court. I don't see a lot of people do it either, and I think most people who play threes understand that. But realistically, if you are the lead scorer on your team, post control rating is definitely needed and necessary. But overall in the C tier, it's just there because I don't think it measures up to the other attribute ratings themselves. Now man, here we are with the good old mid-range rating. So anything to do with mid-range, whether it's difficult shots, the badge itself, or mid-range rating itself, I really don't know how to evaluate, because the truth about mid-range is it's so valuable when it comes to 2v2, but then for Pro-Am and 3v3 it becomes a little bit less reasonable. Now for Pro-Am, quick stopping in the mid-range is still a pretty good thing. I would say it's not exactly what a lot of people do, but it's definitely something that will account for probably at least 4 to 6 points of the game from most point guards out there, maybe 4, but a lot of people who really use it a lot, maybe up to 10. But anyway, for mid-range, for Pro-Am, it's not exactly a necessity, but it's definitely good to have. For 3v3, you really don't even need this rating at all. Like I said, you're 3 hunting, and if you're not getting threes, you're getting wide open dunks. That's ideally how 3v3 is going to work. For 2v2 though, this is where we talk about this. For 2v2, mid-range rating is going to be all the way at the A tier, maybe even S, to be completely honest with you. So overall, I don't know how to judge this. I'm just going to go based on averaging out between all 3 of those game modes, because mid-range is the one rating that is really subjective to the court that you're playing on. So again, we'll go ahead and just give our ratings. So for 2v2, it's definitely in the S tier. I gotta say, like, mid-range is just dominant on 2v2. It's very hard to stop. It's very annoying to deal with the people who are just fading to the mid all day. They will literally just sprint off the screen, run to the baseline, shoot it. They're gonna push the pressure on the big man to step up all the way. He's gonna have to. The point guard ends up on the big man, and then it's just free rebound at that point, because once again, you're pushing it to that mid-range, pushing it to the baseline. It's impossible to defend it. It's a super easy shot to hit as well. And then honestly, even if you're not open on that baseline, they're chasing you super hard, so you can probably just run back to the middle and then just shoot the mid from there. So overall, for 2v2, mid-range is definitely S tier, where realistically mid-range is probably D, maybe even E or F tier, for being completely honest, for 3v3. And the reason behind this, again, it's just an inefficient shot. It's honestly how people saw in the NBA a couple years ago, where people were just clowning mid-range shots. It was by far the worst shot you could take in the game. It's only worth 2 points. It's the same difficulty as a 3-pointer. close to it. I mean, I didn't really think of it that way, but a lot of executives or stat people thought of it that way. And really, that's kind of how it is on 3v3 anymore. There's no point in taking a mid-range shot. Again, it's all 3-point based or dunks. It's as simple as that. If someone's playing you way too high, likely the spacing is going to be good enough for you to be able to just dunk the ball. Now, if you're playing with an inside big, I understand that mid-range might be something you have to crutch onto if you're not good enough at getting yourself open from 3 by just zigzagging or left righting, whatever the case may be, or if the screens aren't hitting good enough, then mid-range is maybe needed for that. But overall, it's not that good for threes. And for Pro-Am, like I said, it's probably anywhere between C tier or B tier. Realistically, we'll just give mid-range the benefit of the doubt and just put it in the B tier, because that's going to average it out between the D for the 3v3, the S for the 2v2, and then for Pro-Am, it's probably sitting between C and B tier. So we're just going to call it high C tier, low B tier attribute rating. Now, one that's very high on this list is going to be 3-point rating. So we're going to correlate this to what I said for the driving dunk, where you can get away with having 65 driving dunk and still have the quick drops off 1 and you go crazy with it. Now, for 3-pointer, it kind of correlates to that, where if you have 75 3-pointer, you can still hit really consistent in this game. And if you have 80, that means you have Hall of Fame sniper, you're going to be cashing out. Now, 99, like driving dunk, goes crazy. It's really disgusting how good 99 3-pointer is. And it's a given. I mean, like, if you're gonna have Curry ability for 3-pointers, you're probably gonna be shooting lights out, and that's really how it is in this game. That comes with things like mismatch expert and blinders on Hall of Fame, all types of crazy stuff. Like I said, sniper is pretty easily accessible. All you really need is 80 on a mid-range or 3-point rating, so it's a pretty easy thing to get. And it's not to say that every build needs 3-pointer, but most of them out there do. If you're a point guard or a lockdown, you likely have to have 3-pointer. If you're a big man, it's very nice to have it, but if you aren't able to get it, or it's not your play style, it doesn't really hurt anything. But it will hurt your team if you're down by a lot on 3v3. Now, you don't need this on 2v2, if we're being completely honest, at least for the big man spot. And for Pro-Am, it's not exactly a necessity either for the big man spot, but for threes, you might be a little bit of a liability if you don't have 3-pointer. Coming into A tier, I'm going to have pass accuracy. Now, when you see the end of this list, you might not think pass accuracy measures up to the other attribute ratings that are going to be in it, but me personally, I think pass accuracy can really make the world go round. Like, if you are playing on 2s and you're running double ISO and you're just patty kicking that thing back and forth, you can really dominate people by just passing the ball back and forth on driving kicks. And for having gold bullet passer, it really changes the game, honestly. Having at least silver is really a necessity. If you don't have pass accuracy, you are a liability out there. You are going to be floating those passes. It's really ugly, and obviously this does go tied in with bullet passer, but that's just a given. Obviously, having pass accuracy also lets you get things like dimer, needle threader. It unlocks a lot of playmaking badges out there, and it really is nice to have. And again, I honestly feel like this is a necessity as well as a luxury, where if you have it really high, you can really thread the needle on a lot of things, get it there in a timely fashion that's going to allow your teammate to actually shoot the ball. And then on top of that too, like I said, the necessity of it is that if you don't have it, you're a complete liability out there. So I personally believe that pass accuracy can be in the A tier, but you guys can measure this up against all the other attribute ratings and see how you feel about it, and let me know in the comments as well. So next up, we'll go ahead and just reveal the other 2 playmaking ratings at the same time. We have ball handle and speed with ball. Ball handle is going to be coming in the A tier, speed with ball at the S tier. So I feel like this is kind of self-explanatory. I feel like speed with ball is more important to have than ball handle, but there is a case to be made for ball handle, obviously. The more you can prevent yourself from getting plucked, the less turnovers you're going to have, and obviously turning the ball over is not ideal. It's going to give the other team free points, but realistically, I think speed with ball is a little bit more important in terms of getting yourself open. It's just really hard to defend. I mean, realistically, speed with ball is just what a lot of these point guards are made off of. They have literally 99 speed with ball, or 97 at least, and it's very hard to defend these midgets out here, and it really is annoying. And on top of that too, like I said, ball handle is obviously something not to be taken too lightly. It's obviously still in the A tier for a reason. It's also going to unlock certain animations as well. Things like hyperdrive even are tied to ball handle rather than speed with ball, and obviously things like unpluckable, etc., handles for days. It's very good of an attribute rating, and it also ties into some really good badges. So overall, these 2 playmaking ratings are super important, and realistically, just every playmaking rating in general in this game is going to be A tier or higher. Alright, so I would like to think that these 4 ratings right here with block, perimeter D, interior defense, and steal are a little bit separated in terms of offensive and defensive rebounding. Obviously, these ones are tied to the rebounding, these are tied to the defense. So we're going to talk about the defensive ones first and foremost. So in the A tier, we have block and perimeter defense, and then in the B tier, we have interior defense and steal. Now, I know some people are going to scoff at the fact that I have perimeter defense higher than steal. I do feel like, though, with this newest update in the patch, it is very hard to get the pluck steals, and realistically, all you can play for anymore is bump steals. And The bump steals aren't really even related to your actual steal rating. Now don't be wrong, with pickpocket and steal rating you can still get some pluck steals, but it's nowhere near the rate that it used to be, and I feel like it definitely belongs in the B tier now. Interior defense not only is tied to brick wall, so it kind of just sees utility in that itself, but then on top of that too, if you want to talk about the other thing that's in the B tier, the close shot rating, if you don't have interior defense and someone else has close shot rating and you aren't tall and they are, oh boy, I tell you what, you are not defending them. It is simple as that. Now don't be wrong, it's not easy to play interior defense in the first place. With the hands up D and someone going for those close shots and the standing layups and stuff like that, you don't get that good of a contest in the first place, but it is very important to have. If you don't have this at all, or if it's below like 80 or even 70, you're really going to struggle to defend people on the interior when it comes to anything to do with close shots. And man, I tell you what, people with good driving dunk rating and knowing what they're doing with that dunk meter, man, if you don't have good interior defense, their meter is gigantic. It's through the roof and so easy to finish on you. Next up, we have block rating, where I would like to think this is the more important thing rather than interior defense, where this is just going to completely stop people from dunking on you in the first place. And realistically, it's really good for dropping off the corners. It's really good for backside hedge defense. It's good for going for chase down blocks. Simply put, block rating is just good to have at any area of the court. So this is going to be coming at the A tier for me. Perimeter defense is the next one up, and I gotta say, obviously, a lot of people might be hating on this attribute rating itself, but I will say it is tied to your speed when holding LT. It's also tied to the contest percentages you're getting on the perimeter, and then all types of other badges that are super important, like pick dodger, clamps, menace, all types of stuff like that. It's obviously a super important attribute rating, and especially with the way the gameplay is too, of actually having to contest those super hard to contest shots, or having to keep up with the really tough to keep up with guards. Realistically, perimeter defense is one of the best ratings to have in the game, and it's super needed. Next up, both coming in the B tier, we have the rebound ratings. I will say, I think offensive rebound is a little bit more important to have than defensive rebound, but there's a case to be made for that depending on your build, so we're going to talk about that. So, for instance, if you're a popper or you're someone who has good three-point rating, defensive rebound becomes more important for you, where you don't really need offensive rebound because you can space the floor and you're not going to be crashing O-boards. Whereas if you're someone who's a true inside big, offensive rebound rating is super important for you. And then defensive rebounding becomes more of just a seal a box out and actually grab it. It's not that hard to do. You don't need a super high rating for it. Whereas offensive rebound, again, if you're someone who is a true inside build, you need to be great at offensive rebounding. So I will say, if there was one thing I would say that's a little bit higher than the other, me personally, I would say offensive rebounding, but defensive rebounding fits a lot more people's utility, where a lockdown could have D-board super high and they don't need offensive rebound. Again, for a popper or someone out there that actually shoots the ball at the big man spot, defensive rebounding is way more important than offensive rebounding for you. So overall, they're both pretty equal, to be completely honest, and they both do exactly what you would want them to do at the exact same rate as each other. It's just which one you value more. Now, me personally, I don't think either of them really fits into the A tier, but if you're someone who really prides himself on rebounding, maybe for your personal list, it would belong in the A tier. Next up on the list, we have speed coming in the S tier. This is just a given. Every build in the game needs speed, whether you're a big, a lock, a point guard, anything like that. Honestly, if anybody doesn't need it the most, it's probably a point guard, but you will get exposed on defense if you don't have speed, no matter who you are. If you're a guard and you try to sacrifice your speed all the way down to like 90 or something like that, you're going to struggle. The truth about this game is everybody needs to be good at transition defense, keeping up with their guy, and also just in general, speed is very important toward defense as well. So realistically, you cannot hide in this game. If you're a point guard that has bad defense, a lot of people are going to be targeting you and forcing you to play defense, and like I said, speed is pretty tied into defense. Honestly, speed with ball is obviously the point guard's means of moving with the ball, so you don't really need speed for the offensive end for the PGs. If you're someone who likes to run around off ball too, obviously speed is pretty important. And then again, for bigs and locks, I cannot stress how important this rating is itself. So realistically, you could make the case that speed is the most important rating in the game, because you just have to keep up with people. If you don't have speed as a defender, you are going to get torched for three-pointers every single play. Alright, so now we come to acceleration in the A tier. Now, I know a lot of people who are number crunchers and actually watch like places like 2K Suits and 2K Labs. You guys see all the tests on acceleration and stuff like that, and how it is only tied to having the ball in your hand. I disagree. Honestly, now this might just be me being the corny, I play the game like all day, every day type of guy and stuff like that. But me personally, I've seen a lot of lockdowns out here who don't have acceleration, and it is bad. They can't start moving quick enough, if you ask me. And maybe this is me just looking into it too much, to be honest with you, but I think acceleration should be valued for everybody, and especially for the guards out there, once again, who are trying to move quickly and burst out of their gathers and stuff like that, or just whatever you want to talk about, the quick first step. Acceleration is a form of quick first step, and I feel like you need it as a guard, especially. So overall, it's definitely something I feel like belongs in the A tier. I think other people also should not undervalue this attribute rating itself, but for my own tier list, I'm going to put this in A tier. I think every build in the game should have it. Let me know if you've experienced a build where you wanted to upgrade it with no acceleration, and let me know how it plays for you. If someone out there was ballsy enough to actually make this right here, where you made a lock with no acceleration, let me know if you made that, and let me know how it's playing for you. I would literally love to hear it. So for strength, me personally, in my experience with it, and trust me, I have a lot of experience with builds that would correlate to strength, whether it's screen setting, boxing out, rebounds, playing defense, all types of stuff like that, preventing people from backing me down, backing other people down. I feel like all this really does help with is the back down situations. And on top of that too, there are badges related to that. You have back down Punisher, which if someone doesn't have brick wall, you're gonna be backing them down easy, regardless of strength. And then if you have brick wall, you're gonna be preventing people from backing you down. So long story short, I really do feel like back downs are really what this attribute rating is tied to. I will say, yes, I do think it helps you play defense to an extent. People ask me all the time, do you think strength ties into driving dunk and being able to get more dunks? Absolutely not. I don't believe that at all. I will say, I do think it helps you body bump people a little bit on defense, but I think really just positioning and playing the proper defensive stick is more important, and I don't really think strength bails you out enough in that term. So long story short, I just don't think strength is that great. I don't think it relates to screen setting either. I just feel like that's literally just brick wall, and all you need to have that is interior defense rather than strength. Now I will say, upgrading your interior defense by default upgrades your strength by a little bit, so you're kind of forced to have strength. And I don't recommend having this on like literally 25, but to have it around like 40 or 50 I think is plenty fine, and that's what most builds will get it at by doing just minimum weight on most things. So overall, I do think strength belongs in the D tier, but not the E or F tier by any means. It's still a pretty useful attribute rating, and again, there's nothing that's completely useless. So moving along, we have vertical. This can be coming in the B tier. I really do think a lot of people sleep on vertical and what it does for you in terms of rebounding, shot blocking, shot contesting as well. A lot of people sleep on what this does for the jump contest, and man, is it lethal when you have a good vertical for that. And on top of that too, obviously you need vertical for certain dunk animations as well, and for contact dunk packages. So overall, I think a lot of people sleep on how much of a glue attribute rating vertical is in terms of, again, chase down blocks, jump contests, rebounds, all types of stuff like that. I mean, the list goes on and on with this. All right, the final attribute rating that we have on the list is gonna be stamina. Now, here's my thing about stamina, and I wanna explain why I have this in the S tier. So, this is a very cheap attribute rating to be had. You can easily upgrade this, and I see so many people skimp out on a couple of the ratings on it, like they'll put it down to like 80. I don't know why you'd ever do that. Literally, it's the difference between probably like one 3-point rating to go from 80 to 99. And I just don't see why you ever wouldn't max out stamina, or at least have it at like 95 or something like that. It's such a good glue in terms of letting you play good defense. The more stamina you have on defense, the better animations you're gonna get. I obviously cannot talk enough about how much this is gonna help ball handlers and stuff like that out there, offensive players in general, from just dribbling the clock out and not losing stamina. Obviously, you do need some Gatorade and stuff like that, or your weekly workouts done to be able to truly epitomize that, but realistically, stamina is so cheap, I don't know why you wouldn't just upgrade it, and you're out of your mind if you don't have this at least 80. You're out of your complete mind. So anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try to 1,000 likes. Also, on that note of the stamina, free throw is also very cheap too, so you could just upgrade this for most builds. If you even have the thought of playing Pro-Am or Rec, I would definitely recommend doing so. But if you plan to play just 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, whatever the case may be, obviously free throw is pretty irrelevant, so that's why I didn't even choose to actually rank it. But if we're talking just Pro-Am, I will say it's probably B tier or A tier, or if we're making the same case as stamina, honestly, free throw belongs right here, because realistically, you should just upgrade it as far as it can possibly go because of how tremendously cheap it is. It's so easy to upgrade, there's really no reason not to. So, like I said, if you're someone who plans to play Pro-Am, definitely upgrade that as far as you can possibly go, because you are a walking bucket if you have good free throw rating. Anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like I said, all that good stuff. And if you made it to the end of the video, put rating or attribute in the comments to show it supports me all the way through. If you want to check out any of the other tier lists that I've done the badge tier list, I've done the takeovers, the takeover perks, all types of stuff like that, all within the last couple of weeks. So feel free to scroll through the channel and check that out as well. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed, and take it easy, man. Peace.